I have a horrible announcement to make, and no, it's not an April Fool's joke this time. But I do have some really good news to follow up the bad news. But let's start with the bad news. For anyone who's new, we've been attempting to go over 500 miles in toy cars. And right now we're over 200 miles in and we're in our hotel room and these are the toy cars. If it looks like I've been crying a lot today, it's because I have been. You may have noticed that if you follow our shorts on TikTok or Instagram that we haven't really posted much today or really at all this afternoon. And there's a reason for that. That's really not normal for us. That's because we received an email this afternoon from Guinness World Records that broke our hearts. But before I go into what that email said, let me give you a little bit of a background of what it's taken to set up this world record attempt in the first place. So we reached out to Guinness over a year ago to ask them about the option of making a new world record title for the longest journey by toy car. For anyone who's new here, these are the toy cars that we have right here in the hotel room. And we've driven over 200 miles so far with them. And it's taken almost a month. So originally they rejected the idea because they didn't really understand and they thought me and Lauren were going to be racing the cars to the finish line. Then we clarified that we wanted to apply to the record as a team and not like as a race, and then they told us they would reconsider. We originally wanted to modify the toy cars and they told us absolutely not. They would only approve the cars if they were going to be ridden exactly as a child would ride it right out of the box. We agreed that we were willing to make that happen. Then they told us they would reconsider, but they had a few more questions. They asked for our route to make sure that it would be approved and everything, so we gave it to them and it was going well. They were finally actually taking us seriously and considering it. Then a few weeks later, we finally heard back and the world record was approved. They sent us a massive rulebook of guidelines that we would have to follow. But first things first, we had to go and ride the entire route in a real car to make sure that it was a route that they were totally okay with. Going from Jacksonville, our starting line, to Key West, the finish line, in a real car would normally only take 8 hours. But we had to find the perfect route, so it took us over a week of literally living in a real car, driving every day. From the moment we woke up, we didn't even get ready for the day. We would just start driving and then we would pass out in the car when we were too tired, wake up and do it over again. We would be driving and be looking at the sidewalk and saying, wow, this is the perfect route. We'd be following it for an hour and then the sidewalk would randomly end. Then we would have to drive all the way back to the beginning of the sidewalk, an hour back in the wrong direction, and look for another route. And we had to do this over and over. The back and forth just made it take forever to plan the route. We even dropped GPS coordinates throughout the entire route so that we could refer to it later and make sure that in the toy cars we were going the exact same route. Our next step was to find the best toy cars that were possibly made for children, because it's hard to find that. First, we found Jeeps. First, they had the right clearance to make this happen. Like, if we hit a pothole, it wouldn't be detrimental. Jeeps also stated online that they went 10 miles an hour and had a battery charge of 1 to 3 hours, which is crazy because a normal Power Wheels car, which is like the most common, well-known car for children, we were only getting like 1 battery per mile. From the specs they said online, it seemed like it was gonna be perfect. When we got them in, we tested them and they weren't as good as they said online, but it was still the best thing that we could find in general for a kid's toy car. The issue was that we couldn't fit everything we needed to be on the road for 2 months, plus all of the batteries, which was like 12 per person. We had like 24 batteries total inside the actual Jeeps. So we messaged Guinness and asked if we'd be able to attach a wagon to the back of the Jeeps. They didn't answer us, but we needed to get on the road, and it was like weeks after we sent them an email. So we read over the rulebook and it didn't really say anything about a wagon. It just kind of said that everything we used had to be commercially available. So we were like, well, the wagons are commercially available. Anyone can buy them. So we're gonna say that they're probably good to go since we haven't heard back yet. Then we started our first day for our attempt and we were in the Jeeps with wagons attached. Lauren's Jeep didn't even make it a few miles before it just like went to beep. You know, it didn't go well. It went really bad. And we had to stop the entire record attempt and put the Jeeps back in the car and drive 3 hours back to Tampa to re-brainstorm what we were gonna do. We thought maybe that was just a faulty Jeep, so we worked with the manufacturer trying to get new parts. We ordered even a new Jeep and was gonna use the one that didn't do well to use it for spare parts on the new Jeeps. But then as we kept testing them, things just kept going wrong and it just felt like a giant money pit. That's when we finally got a response back about our wagon question. This was about a month later, and basically they didn't approve the wagons. For a lot of this entire experience, we haven't really gotten answers very fast. Like the average response time is a month or even longer. So a lot of the time we just have had to read the rule book and try to make the best decisions we can, knowing that we have to make decisions a little bit faster. And that's all we can really do. But at this point, given that we couldn't use the wagons, we decided that we just needed a bigger car that could actually hold all of the stuff we needed for 2 months on the road. And I don't know where they came from, but that's when I finally found the company Freddo Toys, which is where these toy cars are made. Freddo Toys makes these amazing cars that go 11 miles an hour, and they didn't just market that, they actually go 11 miles an hour. I know that doesn't sound fast, but for a toy car for kids that normally goes like 1, maybe 2, sometimes 3 miles an hour, that's incredible. So we called up Freddo Toys, explained what we were doing, and they were totally on board. They told us they would have our backs if we went on this crazy journey in their toy cars. We are now so many miles in, like over 200, and they have absolutely had our backs every step of the way. But sadly, that brings us to today and the bad news. This afternoon, I received an email from Guinness World Records saying that we were no longer allowed to raise money towards saving animals unless we paid them $16,000. We explained that we're just 2 girls driving toy cars trying to make a little bit of a difference in the world and that we don't have $16,000 to just send them. We're not like a corporation or something doing a world record attempt. We've been best friends since kindergarten. We really wanted to do a world record attempt together, and we thought it would be so cool to actually have an amazing mission along the route that could really make a difference. Our goal for the entire fundraiser is $10,000, and we are definitely on track to hit that goal by the finish line. After I explained to them that we don't have the money to just send them $16,000 to continue our fundraiser to save animals, they did lower the price to $7,000. But unfortunately, that's still just not possible. If I was a bigger YouTube channel with like a bunch of subscribers and followers and had all this AdSense revenue coming in from YouTube, then maybe, but that's just not the case. This is a pretty small channel still. So we spent hours today going back and forth just trying to decide what to do. And that's when we decided to make a really hard choice. To email them and tell them that we were going to give up our chance at the world record title so we could continue our mission to help save animals. I hold this mission like so close to my heart, and it's a big reason why I wanted to do this. We still plan to make it to the finish line, and I hope we raise so much money to help save animals to make giving up the title worth it. Finally, the good news. This whole thing has really gotten us thinking. We do really actually want to get the world record for the longest journey by toy car because it took us almost a year to get this approved. So we're going to be doing this again in a few months, but better and longer with a completely different route. I won't announce what the route is yet, but it is nuts. But that will give us a few months to come up with the money that we have to pay Guinness so that our third attempt and final attempt will be able to still be a fundraiser to save animals. So don't worry, we still plan on getting the record for the longest journey by toy car. But for this attempt, we still have a month left on the road. Now that we're no longer working with Guinness, we do have to redesign our car signs so that it no longer says their name on it. We do post a few days back so that we have time to edit these vlogs. So if you notice any blurred out car signs in the upcoming vlogs or any beeps over something that I'm saying, that's why. For anyone who's new, our fundraiser is for Best Friends Animal Society, who helps end kill shelters. So I hope just a few more dogs and cats can survive and actually live out the rest of their lives because of our decision here. We will see you guys tomorrow for another daily vlog for the longest journey by toy car, because it still is the longest journey by toy car. And we'll be back on the road toward Key West, baby. Love you guys. See you guys in the next one.